Local Justice, presented by Elrod Pope Law Firm, serving our community since 1980. Here's your host, attorney Ben Leader.
Welcome to Local Justice. I'm Ben Leader, and today I'm honored to be here with Riley Bearden Cranford. Riley is the newest attorney at Elrod Pope Law Firm, and she brings a really unique perspective to our firm. She spent the early part of her career working for a defense law firm, a reputable firm out of Columbia, South Carolina, where she spent most of her efforts representing corporations and businesses and insurance companies. And now she has shifted gears and joined Elrod Pope, where she helps represent injured families and victims from accidents. And so we're excited to have Riley on the show. We're excited to have Riley at the firm. Riley, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
We're going to dive into some of the issues that impact justice here in York County and beyond. And one of the ways we do that is to let people get to see some of those individuals that are impacting justice. And so excited to introduce you to the viewers, let them get to know Riley a little bit, and ultimately, hopefully, they can take away some key tidbits that allow them to better understand their rights, their options, and where to turn when it matters most. So why don't we start out by you just telling us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and what led you to the path of law?
So I grew up in Columbia, and I think I first got interested in law school when I was in a government class my senior year of high school. It was an election year, so we spent a lot of time volunteering on campaigns and at rallies and figuring out what the different platforms of the candidates were. And I, in that experience, got to see a lot of attorneys who were active in their community, and they were involved in the issues that affected their community, and they were able to help their citizens in the area, both professionally and also in their free time, because they had a really firm idea of what was going on, what the community needed. And so I really thought I wanted to head into a career path that would allow me to help people in my job during the day and also know what my community needed afterwards.
That's great. And so you knew even before undergraduate that that's where things were heading.
Yes.
And then you went on to go to South Carolina, is that right?
I did. I went to the University of South Carolina. I did business school first and loved my marketing and management classes. I learned a lot in those classes about how to listen first and to get an idea of what people need, especially in my marketing classes, to figure out what people are looking for before I start to articulate my platform. I think that helps me a lot in my ability to talk to my clients and figure out what they need and what solutions they're looking for before I start to present them with the options that I think they should have. And I think it also helps me present a case to a jury and talk to a jury about why resolving this case in favor of a plaintiff is going to improve the community as a whole.
That's great. And I was a political science major like so many lawyers, but if I could go back and do it over again, I absolutely would have gone down the business path and studied more broader topics and not so narrowly defined towards law school, as I do think that provides a tremendous benefit in allowing you to relate to all the different industries that our line of work kind of overlaps with. Mm-hmm. And South Carolina has a great business school, so that's a great combo. And so then from undergrad, went on to stay in Columbia and go to law school at South Carolina?
I did. I have lived in Columbia my whole life before I moved to Rock Hill, and it gave me a chance to encounter lawyers who are also lawmakers and to see how important it is that lawyers do involve themselves in the lawmaking process, because we understand how the laws are going to affect the community after the fact once they're put into practice. And so it taught me a lot about how words matter and how lawmakers really are evaluating how every single word in legislation will affect the community going forward. And I really enjoyed working in Columbia, that close to the seat of government, and then practicing there for several years afterwards gave me a really good opportunity to see it in practice.
Yeah, there's so many great options for law students to get involved with there, whether it's the court system, the legislature, so many great law firms in the Columbia area, so that's a great place to start your career.
For sure.
I know that you spent a lot of time and effort, I think during undergrad, focusing on domestic violence. Is that correct?
It is.
And so we've been very passionate about supporting some of the local groups here in York County that deal with domestic violence. And would love to hear a little bit about that and just kind of how that's crafted or impacted your views on, the law.
When I was a junior in college, I had to start thinking about my senior thesis, and that year the Post and Courier came out with a special report called Till Death Do Us Part, which talked about how South Carolina has consistently ranked in the top 10 in the country for women killed by their spouses or domestic partners, and it really led me down a rabbit hole that I was fortunate to be able to investigate through my senior thesis about the legal remedies that are available to victims of domestic violence. I also looked a lot into the systemic issues that lead people to a domestic violence situation, and I think a lot of what I learned was the systemic issues that prevent people from ever getting to those legal remedies. After that experience, it made me really passionate about educating men and women of all ages in the community about the signs of domestic violence and educating people about what might be available to them if they are in a situation like that, so that they can seek those remedies before something horrible happens to them. I think that this is something that can be relegated, but it's really not a women's issue or a children's issue. This is a life or death issue to South Carolinians.
Absolutely, and I know that passion continued in law school, where you were able to volunteer with some clinics that focused on helping those victims firsthand.
I did the domestic violence clinic. South Carolina's law school allows students to practice law under the license of a very experienced attorney who works in the law school and is a professor and teaches them how to apply those legal remedies. It was essentially a continuation of my senior thesis. It gave me a chance to work one-on-one with individuals who needed that assistance, who needed a restraining order, or just needed someone to listen to them and tell them where they needed to go and what remedies they could seek within South Carolina for the situation they were in.
Well, that's great, and I love that you're so passionate about that. We've got some great organizations here in York County. Safe Passage is one of those. We've had their director on as a past guest here, and we talked a lot about just the economic impact that domestic violence can have on a community like York County. And I know that efforts like yours and other volunteer efforts are more needed now with domestic violence than ever, especially with some of the funding that may have been lost over the last year or two. So love that you're passionate about that, and I'm sure you'll see our firm continuing to support those causes even more in the future with you a part of it. Mm-hmm. Well, that early work, gave you a front work seat to how the law directly impacts real people, which you're getting to see again now at our firm. And so from there, your career took you to the defense side, and we're going to take a brief break from our sponsors, but I really want to dive deep into that at the next segment. So thank you for being with us, and thank you to the viewers for tuning in. We'll be right back with Riley Bearden Cranford here shortly. Thank you.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news, some were skeptical. So we're not gonna have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Being there for someone in their time of need is what Green Funeral Home has done compassionately for 4 generations. It's a privilege we take very seriously.
We believe each life should be honored and remembered by family and friends. Whether you choose traditional burial in our chapel or another venue, or cremation provided by our on-site crematory, we will help guide you through each step to ensure your needs are met.
We are also available to discuss pre-planning. Peace of mind that you have helped your loved one by making those difficult decisions.
When the need arises, our family is here for your family.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the oh, I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Live Strong at the YMCA is a lifesaver for so many people.
I love Live Strong because you meet so many people, you learn how strong you can be physically and mentally.
The camaraderie and the closeness that you feel and come together as a group is just amazing.
We meet them where they are and we work with them to help them get stronger.
At the YMCA of Upper Palmetto, we are proud to offer our community the support of the Live Strong program to all cancer survivors. For more information, visit your local branch.
Welcome back to Local Justice, where we dive into the issues and the people impacting justice here locally in York County and beyond so that you all know your rights, your options, and where to turn when it matters most. And today I'm honored to have with us Elrod Pope's newest attorney, Riley Bearden Cranford. And we're going to dive right back into this second segment to talk about her time at working on the defense side of the law. So Riley, after law school, you spent the early years of your career working at a very respected and well-known defense firm out of Columbia, handling cases ranging from car accidents to product liability and premises liability cases, as well as construction defect claims. What did working on the defense side teach you about how insurance companies operate and evaluate claims?
So I think the playbook that I learned really quickly was that a lot of carriers look at a case from the very beginning of the case as into how it might affect the case going forward to trial. So they have a long-term view on a case that every step of the process affects. And so when they're looking at new information that comes in, they're always evaluating how it might be presented to a jury down the road. As I went through that process, I learned a lot about what information they look for from a client or from a plaintiff about how it might sway a jury either way, and what a jury might latch on to is what a lot of what a carrier is looking to latch on to. And they're also listening a lot to their defense counsel as well as to plaintiff's counsel about how the law will apply to the facts of the case. A lot of the carriers practice in many different venues across the country, so they want to know how the venue is going to read a case and what a jury might do in that particular county.
That's great. And you know, what are some of the things that you think injured individuals may have misconceptions about or may not realize when it comes to how their injury claim may be analyzed behind the scenes?
I think a lot of people don't understand how often reasonable comes into the law and into jury charges. There are very few cases that I've ever practiced on or taken to trial where there's a monster or an enemy or someone to go after. And most of the jury cases that I've taken all the way to trial and all the way through, I've gone to the party that seemed the most reasonable. And so I think that that's what people need to remember when they're sitting for their deposition and when they're interacting with the other people on the other side of their case, is that if they present as reasonable, a jury is very much going to lean towards giving them what they ask for.
Yeah, and you hear the word reasonable or reasonableness throughout all the jury instructions that are given at trials, and it's a word that's commonly referenced in the law all the time, and that I think a lot of plaintiff attorneys may lose sight of sometimes, and focus on being reasonable, and the rest will take care of itself oftentimes.
Absolutely.
And you've taken a lot of cases to verdict in your career. You've spent a lot of time in the courtroom, and your litigation experience was something that really stuck out to us, and it's really what ultimately led us to have the conversation of you coming and joining Elrod Pope, and we got to work against you on some cases, and now we get to work with you on cases, which is great. What do you enjoy most about litigation and being in the courtroom?
I love interacting with people. I love everyone that I've been able to work with along my career. I've been very fortunate to practice in an area of law where I have a lot of cases, so I get to interact with a lot of individuals. My practice is not just sitting behind a computer. I get to talk to judges, bailiffs. I get to talk to a jury regularly. And I think that that's the most rewarding thing, is to be able to hear people reflect on how the legal process has either been frustrating to them or hopefully how I've been able to make it easier for them. And articulating a case to a jury is one of my favorite things to do. I love being able to explain the situation that my client is in and what they're struggling with, and give them a chance to present that to a jury in a way that a jury is going to find compelling.
That's great, and we're glad to see you now doing that for our firm, and we look forward to seeing you in the courtrooms here in York County a lot more in the future. Most people that have been in a car accident and had to go through the litigation process or the claims process, it's the only time they ever go through something like that. And so they don't know what to do, what not to do, and often may take some missteps along the way. What are some of the mistakes you would often see from an injured victim standpoint that may occur early in the process before they realize kind of what's going on?
Honestly, one of the things I think we talked about earlier is trying to oversell a case. You are credible right out of the gate, and I think that carriers, insurance representatives, and defense attorneys are all listening to how you might rate your pain in the process. And I think giving a realistic evaluation of your pain, people who are in 10 out of 10 pain should go to an emergency room, should seek high-level medical treatment. But if your pain level is lower than that, or if it's improving, it's a good thing to report to your doctor or to your attorney or to your insurance carrier so that they understand that you're either improving or not improving. Gives them a more realistic scale for what's going on in your medical treatment. Another thing that I see is people not seeking treatment and that really affecting their claim down the road. If you're injured, you should seek medical treatment. You should go to the urgent care or go to your primary care doctor or go to the physical therapy that's been set up for you. Your doctors want to see you get better, and so do your lawyers. We don't want to see you in perpetual pain. We don't want to see you suffering long term. We want you to get to the medical treatment that you need. And that also allows us to document the process, why you were injured in the first place, what was wrong, and allows us to document an improvement and why that medical treatment was necessary to get you back to whole.
In the medical records and the treatment are such an important piece of that puzzle. And, I think a lot of times people have hope that they're going to feel better, and so they wait. And while they're waiting, the insurance companies start, building a case against them. And the longer that waiting period lasts, the harder of a time they're going to have convincing an insurance company those injuries are related to an accident. And so a lot of times it feels like the reasonable thing to do to sit back and wait and hope that you get better, but sometimes that can result in bigger problems for your case down the road.
Absolutely, or it can prolong injuries.
That's right, that's right. Well, that's great insight for anybody going through an accident claim, and I think the natural instinct for a lot of victims is to want to prove their case or sell their case, and they don't need to do that. The evidence speaks for itself, and a lot of times by trying to overreach there and oversell, they end up undermining the ultimate value of their case.
It's true.
And York County jurors, more than anybody, I think, have a reasonableness mindset and the ability to see who's the more reasonable party in a dispute.
Mm-hmm. York County jurors believe someone who says that they're injured, but it can undermine your credibility if you say that you're more injured than you appear to be. And so it's very helpful in front of York County jurors to present exactly how injured you were, how much pain you were in, and how you got better.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, that's spot on. That's some great insight and advice for the viewers out there. We're going to take another quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with segment 3. Thank you for being with us, Riley, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back shortly with more local justice.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
At Palmetto Pride, we know we have a choice. The choice for a cleaner South Carolina. And it's the easy one at that. Don't litter. No grand gestures or heroic efforts here. But the outcome still has monumental impacts. When it comes to our state, every choice counts and every action matters. From the great outdoors to parks next door, from Main Street to your street. All it takes is a little bit of pride to keep South Carolina beautiful.
When a catastrophe hits, it can be a very stressful time for you. When you have trees on your house, when you have trees on your cars, and you don't know what to do, you call us.
We're not a 1-800 number, we're an 803 number. We've been in business for over 60 years because we take care of our clients. That means taking care of them during claim situations.
We're not 9 to 5, we're 24/7. We're gonna be there when you need us most. Gill Insurance, your local auto owner's agent. Understanding business is how we do business.
When it comes to prescription medications and health needs, Rock Hill residents have been turning to Good Pharmacy for over 50 years.
I've been coming to Good Pharmacy since we came to Rock Hill in 1984, and I would not change pharmacists for anything.
With their knowledgeable staff, you can always trust that your prescription will be filled with complete confidence and care for your health. Good Pharmacy, conveniently located at the corner of Ebenezer Road and Camden Avenue.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the oh, I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Hi, I'm John Warden with Champion Services. If you're considering remodeling or making repairs to your home due to storm damage, here's a few things to ponder. A lot of folks have come in town promising a lot of things about we've been here for a long period of time, only to be found faults. Choosing the right contractor is extremely important. Here at Champion Services, our goal is one thing, it's customer satisfaction. And that's just not a sentence, that's a fact. Let me say it's been a joy to serve you for over 30 years. This message is brought to you by Champion Services and CN2.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm your host, Attorney Ben Leader, and today I'm honored to be here with Elrod Pope's newest attorney, Riley Bearden Cranford. Riley, thank you again for joining us. Thank you to the viewers for tuning in to Local Justice again. We've been talking to Riley and learning a little bit about her background, what led her to the path of law school, her early years as a defense attorney, and now how she brings some of those insights and perspectives to benefit our clients here in York County. Want to dig deeper into the community and how y'all have been welcomed into the York County community. Not only are you a new attorney at Elrod Pope, you're also a relatively new resident of York County. You and your husband Will recently relocated here, I believe, and settled down here. Tell us just a little bit about the transition to Rock Hill and how things have been so far.
It's been wonderful so far. Will grew up here, and so his dad founded their dental practice when he moved back from dental school. And Will went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and so it's been so sweet to see people in the community welcome us back. I remember very early on after we moved here, we went to Ebenezer Grill for lunch, and several people came in and said hey to Will and congratulated us both on our marriage. And it was so sweet. We'd gone to lunch with his parents there, and so they were there with us. And while we were there, his sister came in with his nieces and nephew. And so it's just wonderful to see the community is all there and to run into people in the community that recognize him and recognize us, and to know that living here, we're going to get to be able to serve our neighbors.
That's great. And growing up here, Rock Hill always felt like a very tight-knit community and a smaller town. And we've obviously seen a ton of growth here over the years, but it makes me feel great to hear that you've still been welcomed with that same sense of community. And it's also funny to me that Ebenezer Grill seems to pop up at least one out of every 2 or 3 episodes. And we don't talk about food much here, but clearly Ebenezer Grill is the place to be in Rock Hill, so I'm glad to hear that. You've expressed a passion for community involvement, and I know you have a track record of that in Columbia. Recently finished up some time serving on the junior league, I believe, there, and was overseeing a large event about a month or so ago. Just tell us a little bit about what community means to you, and how that's a part of your personal and professional life now.
My family always raised me to be involved in the community outside of just my professional work, and one of the key things that I think we talked about earlier was how I think attorneys have a unique perspective on what people need legally, but also when I understand the limits of what the legal process can offer them, I also understand what needs the community has after that. And I think the amount of interaction that an attorney has with people outside of the legal profession gives us a unique opportunity to serve outside of the legal profession as well. And so really through the junior league and through my church and through other opportunities that I've been involved with since college, I've been able to serve several areas that I've been passionate about that the legal process doesn't really reach. That's great.
And supporting a community is a huge part of our law firm, and we're excited to see you hit the ground running with that here in York County. So when you're not practicing law, tell us a little bit about Riley. What do you like to do outside of work? What are some hobbies or interests you have?
I love to cook and I love to travel. I'm an average cook, but Will and I love having our friends over to our home and cooking for them. We've had the opportunity to have several new friends over recently to get to know them a little bit better. And it's been such a pleasure to prepare a meal and to sit down and break bread together with them.
That's great. And I know travel is something you enjoy a lot of too. What's one of the best trips you've been on, or one of the most lasting impressions any particular places left on you?
This is going to be incredibly nerdy, but I went with my parents to the UK a couple years ago, and we got to go to Oxford together, and I'm a huge reader, and so I loved getting to see the library that they have there. I think it's like 400 years old.
Wow.
And so it was incredible to be able to see where C.S. Lewis and Tolkien worked and read, and that was really one of the most meaningful places that I've ever visited.
That's neat. And finally, for viewers who may need legal help, who may have been injured in an accident and feel overwhelmed or unsure, where to start, what would be your message to them?
Give us a call. Let us know what we can do for you. I'm always happy to listen, and even if I can't provide a solution, I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. I think it's always the first step to give an attorney a call. Our job is to know the breadth of the law, so we know if we can help you or if we know someone else that can help you, and hopefully we can at least either help you ourselves or point you in the right direction.
That's right, and I think a lot of people are reluctant to reach out to lawyers sometimes because, one, they're worried that it's going to be expensive, and two, they're in part intimidated by having to deal with a legal conversation that they may not be used to. And the good thing about our line of work is we work for free off of contingency fees, and so consultations are always free, and there's no harm in ever reaching out and asking questions and just trying to get an understanding of what people's rights are out there. So, well, thank you for sharing your story and your perspective. We're really proud to have you as a part of Elrod Pope now, and also happy to have you here on Local Justice. Your approach to client advocacy is exactly what people should look for and what people need here in York County, and we're excited to see what the future has in store for you.
Thank you.
For our viewers, if you or someone you know is hurt or has questions and wants a better understanding of the legal process, please reach out to us. We are always more than happy to steer you in the right direction and help you out as best we can, even if it's ultimately telling you news that you may not want to hear. But we're here, and we're happy to answer any questions that the community has about any legal issues they may be facing. Getting good information early can make a real difference in your case, and the tiny details matter much more than most people realize, as Riley has shared with us. Thank you again for joining us on Local Justice. We'll see you next time, and I hope everyone stays safe out there.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
Kidney disease is becoming more and more prevalent, especially with diabetes and hypertension. My training with kidney disease helps me to talk to patients and guide them through the steps that they can take, the changes that they can make into their lifestyles. And we have a dedicated team of providers, including dietitians and pharmacists that we work with to educate patients towards achieving that.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
From my first watch I purchased as a teenager, which still runs today, to the diamond ring I surprised my wife with, which she still talks about today. A gift from Norman Hagee is as good as it gets. Whether it's elegant timepieces by Bulova, Caravel, and Bel Air, or ornamental ironwork-inspired Southern Gates collection, or dazzling fine jewelry. A gift from Hagee is backed by over 60 years of family-owned and operated experience. Norman Hagee Jewelers, for gifts as good as it gets.